Good morning. All right, first things first. I feel like I owe you people like an apology for the last couple of videos. I don't know what the hell's going on. I told you before, I've been hit in the head too many times. It's kind of funny, but it's true. Yeah, I mean, that gal that was caught publicly, masturbating and everything, I didn't know that had taken place. That incident was like 2 years old. How am I supposed to know that? All of a sudden on YouTube, it was popping up, and I was avoiding it. I avoided it for a couple days because it looked like clickbaity sort of thing to me. So then I finally clicked on one. I was like, eh. And then I found the long one, that was the body cam footage of the incident that the police put out. I was like, well, what the hell, man? So I did my thing on it. Then in the comments, reading the comments from you guys, to find out that she had killed herself. And then, in the most horrific way, apparently, she had shot herself, and it didn't kill her. She walked around her house bleeding all over the place, and then eventually, obviously, she passed, and somebody found her weeks later. The whole story is horrible. Sorry. Didn't know. It is interesting, though, when you don't always know when something took place. And look, it's not like I got a journalism degree. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not thinking about all the time, taking the time to look something up to see how accurate it is, because I got other things to do. I got other things on my mind, So, sorry. Once in a while, I'll share something on some sort of social media that may be older. And if it's something that could be seen politically for some reason by people, like it's complaining about gas or whatever it is, something happened in the world or some type of, it involves a specific group of people or whatever, inevitably there's some Karen or Ken type person who will be like, well, that happened 2 years ago. It's the first time I'm seeing it, man. Did it happen? It happened, right? It's real. So just because I'm not Johnny on the spot with the most of, it happened right now. You can only know about what's happening right. This is the problem. Nobody remembers anything. Nobody remembers. Those who do not remember their history are doomed to repeat it. So, yeah. This thing, this constant distraction with the latest bullshit that constantly keep you on the latest thing. So you don't remember all the lies and the bullshit that you just went through last week. It's bullshit. Okay, the other thing was the home insurance thing. I was conflating too many things in my head. And again, been hit in the head too many times. So I did have a total moment. But I was also recently, a couple weeks ago, whenever it was, dealing with the insurance on the house in Arizona about this topic of the roof thing. And so I had this thing in my head where I had forgotten what they were explaining to me, which is, yeah, obviously, I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking okay, the roof's old, you need to take care of that. The insurance doesn't cover wear and tear, just normal usage. I get it. I just had this thing in my head about how they told me that my house in Arizona is covered for wind and hail and things like that. So if the roof got damaged through one of these events, it's covered. Which reminded me then, just now thinking about what I wanted to talk to you guys about. I know a guy, and he told me, he's like, yeah, I needed a roof, and they had a windstorm, and I'm not recommending this. I'm not saying it's something I would do. But he got up on his roof with a shovel and peeled a bunch of the shingles off his roof, and then he ended up getting a roof out of it. But that's what he did. Now on a flat roof, you can't do that. It doesn't work. So negative of having a flat roof, right? Eventually, it's going to wear out. That's just how it is. And any roof is going to wear out. So sorry, had that wrong. Just was conflating too many different things in my mind. Part of the issue was, the reason why I wasn't thinking about it correctly was that the roof is worn, which I didn't know originally. I didn't know that it was in that bad a shape, so I went up there and actually eyeballed it myself. But the main thing is the roof is worn and it leaked. So I was hoping that they can work something out their insurance where, hey, our roof leaked. Can we get they're going to obviously have to do a roof. but can they get the some of the cost covered if there's deductible or something like that, as far as the inside of the house repaired because of the leaking roof. That's all that was. Now, I missed an opportunity with you guys, and it came up in yesterday's video where I talked about the blue crayon on the ceiling, the ghost poltergeist thing. And Halloween was just not long ago, right? I mean, what am I saying? Halloween seems like it was last week, and it was already over a month ago, because we're in December now, so, which is crazy how fast. I explain time to people like this. Your life is a circle that doesn't change size, and every year your life is one pie slice. So when you're 8 years old, there's 8 pie slices, right? So your day is just forever. Little kids are always bored. Ugh, now what am I going to do? Now what am I going to do? Okay. Now you're 20. Now you got 20 pie slices, and you still get bored. Well, I'll be 57 this month. 57, there's 57 pie slices now. So basically time speeds up. Time goes faster. There's just not enough time to do everything. And before you know it, days go by, weeks go by, months go by, and you're just doing your thing. It's an interesting way to think about things. So I missed this opportunity at Halloween. I wanted to talk about this whole thing, and I had this whole idea I wanted to do, and it didn't pan out because it kind of depended on this neighbor that I have. There's this new woman that moved in. She's nice to me, but she's been having some issues with her other neighbors, namely the woman who lives just on the other side of the wall next to her in that apartment down there. They're all the lowly people on the first level. I'm in the back upstairs, and I look out over everything, I'm up in the castle, the defensible position. So she's been complaining about the lady next to her at 4 o'clock in the morning, scratching on the wall or tapping on the wall, like a little tapping on the wall kind of thing. And what she doesn't know is these apartments are haunted. And I don't mean haunted the problem when you say that, a lot of people are like, wow, that's a bunch of BS. And there's a lot of people out there, you know who you are, you don't believe anything unless you personally experienced it, which is a weird way to live your life, but fine, because you can't experience everything. If you don't believe something, or you haven't experienced it because you haven't believed it, to just think everybody else is full of crap, or lying for attention, or all the other stuff that you put in your mind so you don't have to accept it as a reality, it's cognitive dissonance right there. You're doing that on purpose to yourself, and you're not helping yourself. Anyhow, whole other subject. We'll do a video on that another time. So I got some sage and some other stuff, because I was going to talk to her about it and tell her some stories, because and I'm going to tell you everything I can think of off the top of my head. I'll go back to my own life with this, because when I was a kid, we lived in some places that definitely were. We lived in a place in Vernon, New Jersey for a short period of time, like a year and a half, because the place was haunted. And it was weird. I was never afraid of anything as a kid. I got my baby book. I'm going to do a video on my baby book 6 weeks after I was born, the first report from the doctor. It's written in there, very progressive, not afraid of anything or anyone. I'm 6 weeks old. I've never been afraid of anything. I don't like rats, but I'm not like, and anyhow, we lived in this house, and weird stuff would happen. Appliances would turn on and off, lights would go on and off. There was weird noises in the house. There was always an uneasy feeling. Objects would appear out of nowhere in places. And my mom told me a story as an adult one time, when I was a kid at that time. That was when I was 8 years old, 9 years old, in that range. And she said we were at school one day, and she heard something walking around in my sister's room. And she went up there, and she says, in the room was my mom was a piece of work, anyhow. But she's like, well, my sister's room was a mess. And she goes in there, and she says, well, if there's anybody in here, you might as well clean out this fucking mess. And something grabbed her, 2 hands, it felt like, and threw her up against the wall and held her there. And when she was able to be released from that, because it held her there for a few moments, it sounded like it made it even kind of like she almost picked her up a bit. But she came down, and then she ran out of the house, and she wouldn't go back in the house until my dad came home from work. And that was the beginning of the end. A lot of other stuff was happening in our lives at that time, too. Anyhow, that's one of my earlier remembrances of that sort of thing. But then my whole life, weird stuff like that has happened. You know, I've seen ghosts, man. Really bizarre stuff. I had a girlfriend in Arizona one time. This is good. I know all this sounds unbelievable, all right, but this is true. It's true. I had this girlfriend who told me that she would get molested sometimes by something when she was in bed. And I thought, okay, you know, I had enough experiences by that time in my life where I'm like, I'm not gonna out of hand dismiss it. And I was with her one day in her bed, and we were sleeping, and all of a sudden I was pinned down. I couldn't move. And I look at her, and she gets pulled to the end of the bed, to the point where like her knees bent and her feet were able to hit the floor, you know. And I couldn't do anything. I couldn't move. I was frozen, and I just got angry. I'm waiting for you, dude. You see I'm trying to do this. Why don't you just walk a little slower? There you go. Come on. Don't look at me. Just keep your head down. So, sorry. You're upset because you're walking down the street and I happen to need to turn in, so you're going to get upset by that. Hustle your ass. Either wait for me or hustle your ass up. I would have tried that, or waited and waved you in, because I'm considerate that way, because I realize there's a car on the street and there might be other cars coming, and I'm just a pedestrian and I walk slow. I think about other people out there in the world other than myself. Anyhow, as I was saying, I'm pinned down. She got pulled to the end of the bed. And instead of being scared, I was startled, obviously, but I just got angry. And I started yelling, this stops right fucking now, you know, blah, blah, blah. And it stopped. And when it stopped, she looked at me, she goes, I told you. I'm like, no, that's... And the weird thing about that is when these things happen, it's not like a movie where you run out of the house and what are you going to do? It's over now. So we just went to sleep. Weird, right? And there's other things. Like, I don't want to make this video super long. Let me set up the shop and I'll keep going with this. Hey, listen, this video's jumping. I forgot to talk about a part of this. So this segment you're seeing here is right after I got out of the van. And when this segment's over, it's going to jump back to what I actually shot when I got out of the van, and including the ending. Because I mentioned blue crayon on the ceiling in this house the other day, and I just checked the car, and this is still here too. Can you see this blue crayon here? See how it's like squiggly? It's like an S, and then it goes down the... You guys should be able to see that. Alright, that just appeared out of nowhere a while ago, and I still haven't cleaned it off the car, but that will appear from time to time on one of these walls out here on the house. But going way back to... Let me set the camera up here, hang on. I'm just filling some nails here, and this filler's going to set up and dry quick. So when I got this job with these people, I think I said this in one of the videos. Oh yeah, the insurance video from yesterday. There. These people hired a guy to come in. He had a handyman business. And these people were working. They were doing bad work. They fired him. They asked me to finish the house off, and I did. And in the living room, and I'll try to remember to put a link to the video of the furniture in their living room. It's pretty impressive, if I do say so myself. That living room has a vaulted ceiling. It's like a big round ceiling the whole length of the room, 12 to 14 feet high, okay? And I wasn't working off of a ladder when I was painting that. I was using an extension pole and an 18-inch roller. 18-inch roller, 3/4 inch nap, roller sleeve, 12 to 14 feet, painting this ceiling out. And I remember I painted that ceiling. I came back the next day, and going down the center of the ceiling and off to the side was blue crayon. That same color blue crayon on the ceiling. These are old, and back then that was probably around 2000-ish, right? So 23 years ago, these people were in their 60s then. They for sure weren't getting up on some ladder. I didn't even have a ladder here long enough to get to the ceiling at that point. So explain that one to me. Explain to me where, and there was no, by the way, no blue crayon. Like, it wasn't like there was blue crayon all over the ceiling and I painted over and it bled through. Had been nothing there before. I did a nice fresh coat of paint and there's blue crayon all over the ceiling. So it is the weirdest thing. And okay, and here's the weird thing, because the blue crayon has appeared before on the outside of the wall, and so you think, well, that's no big deal. Some kid could have done that walking by, and that's true. So I don't want to necessarily link those two, but it is weird because it's the exact same color, that kind of aqua blue, weird color. What are the odds that some? I mean, I suppose coincidences happen, but I just don't see that. Being the exact same color, I think there's something to it. And then why would it be on the side of the car? And I just showed it to you. It's still there. That appeared out of the blue. Appeared out of the blue. Weird, man. Anyhow, I didn't want to forget that, because the whole reason I decided to talk about the ghost thing was I made the comment about the blue crayon, and in the comments somebody made it sound like they wanted to hear more about that, and the whole point of me doing this video today was to placate that one person. I hope you feel special, whoever you are, and yeah, watch the rest of this. Alright, so as I was saying, where I live now, the place was built in 1926. And there's been a lot of weird incidents there. I have had weird things in my own apartment. I get this weird stuff that happens every once in a while. The way my daybed is, I made this daybed, and to my left, through the living room, is the kitchen. And from time to time, something is in the kitchen. I see it. Walking by or stationary, and I look and then it's not there, but I can see it. And every once in a while I get this perfume smell. This hasn't happened in a while, but I would get it on my lips sometimes. It sounds kooky, but it's real. And I've had some other weird stuff. I had a thing happen to me, and I know this is going to sound bizarre. Again, I don't want to keep saying it's the truth, but it sounds so incredible, but it's true. This was this year. About less than a year ago. I'm in bed, and it's early morning. The sun's not completely up yet, but it's getting light out. And I'm in that stage, where I'm kind of halfway, about ready to wake up. And something got in bed next to me. Full on, the weight of somebody getting in bed right next to you in the mattress. And I'm laying there, and I was on my left side, and I'm going, wait a minute, I live alone. And I look over, and there's nothing there, but there's a divot in the bed. And this thing, whatever it is, it gets out of bed. There's a divot in the bed. Like, if you put your ass in the bed, you would see that if you were invisible, basically. It's like an invisible person. And the thing, I can sense that it got up, and then it got out of the bed. And as it got out of the bed, the indentation in the mattress next to me lifted out. I saw that with my own eyes. So that's creepy, right? That's kooky, weird stuff there. So that sort of stuff happens. And now my neighbors have told me other stories. Like, there was a girl that lived in the apartment all the way up front. Sweet gal. Really interesting name. I have a thank you note from her for some favor I did for her. Her name was Astronauta, or is Astronauta. I haven't seen her in a while. But she told me she got freaked out. She came home one day, it's nighttime, and she looks in the bathroom, and she sees a man, an apparition of a man that wasn't fully there. But she sees him at the sink it'd be this view for her, for you. But he's in the sink and he's looking at himself in the mirror, and he had like a gash on his head and he was bleeding on his face. Like as if maybe somebody used to live there and got mugged or something and came home. The woman who lives there now in that apartment was hearing hard sole shoes on the floor for a while in the apartment next door when nobody was there. Like they actually called the police and everything. They thought somebody had broken into the apartment, and the cops came more than once, and there was nobody in there. But clear as day, the person on the other side heard it too. So somebody walking around with hard sole shoes. Again, that would be like more of a vintagey. We all wear soft sole shoes nowadays for the most part, right? What else? There's been other incidents like that in there. So this new gal that moved in, I wanted to help her out. I've talked to her a little bit anyhow about people and time, and how, you know, even though you might not be getting along with somebody right now, give it enough time, because there's neighbors that she's having issues with that I've had issues with in the past, and now we're friends. So it's you know, we're human beings, man. We have things in our heads. We have to talk things out. You know, you can usually get past things, and if you know certain topics piss certain people off, you can avoid those topics, whatever. The reason I get along with her is because whenever I've seen her, I've been nice to her. I smile at her. I think she's pretty, you know. So I told her so, which is another thing, by the way. Make people feel good. There's absolutely nothing wrong with giving somebody a compliment. You know, if you notice something that they're wearing that's attractive on them, or looks nice, or has a nice style, or something like that, I do it with my guy friends. You know, hey man, you're looking fit. You know, dude, check that, like that thing. That's cool. You know, throw some positive stuff at somebody once in a while. So I do that, and she got in the habit of whenever she saw me, she'd smile. Now we talk a little bit, and we exchange numbers just in case she needed help with something and that sort of thing. But I wanted to talk to her about this and tell her about this whole thing where there's, you know, this elderly lady that lives on the other side of her is not getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and tapping on the wall just to annoy her. So I wanted to help her out, you know, do the sage thing, which I've done many times. I've done it for my own place. I've done it with other people. I know, again, a lot of people don't believe in any of this. If you don't believe in any of this and you're still watching this, what's wrong with you? You should have turned this off a while ago. Anyhow, it's a real thing. It's a thing. It's a thing. I've had enough weird experiences, and I've got pictures, and you guys know, you've been here. So I'm the type that just believes everything's real, but it doesn't matter that much, because you still have to live your day-to-day and survive in this reality that we're all sharing right now, right? So it shouldn't freak you out. It's nothing to be afraid of, I don't think, necessarily, but, you know, I don't know. That's it. This video's nowhere. Mainly, I just wanted to get on here today and apologize for the last 2 videos. Sorry. I'll probably get hit in the head today by something. I mean, you know, one of these things is going to fall down at some point here pretty soon and just crack my head open, right? So let's hope that's not today. And you guys have a great day. Thanks for being here. I do appreciate you coming by and listening to me blather about nothing. There's going to be some better stuff coming. I got a good one coming. I've mentioned it before, and I don't want to give it away right now, but it'll be fun. You guys will get a laugh out of it. Be good to one another, and I'll catch you in the next one.